Hello and welcome back to Green About Global. I'm Greta, your host for today, here with my co-host Maya.
Hi.
This episode is a case study of activist Alberto Curamil. Let's get started. Okay, so first of all, Curamil is a Chilean indigenous Mapuche, which is an indigenous tribe, and he organized the Araucania people to stop construction of two hydroelectric projects on the Cautín River. So these projects were canceled in 2016 because of their activism work, and they would have diverted a lot of water and hurt the environment and brought drought to the Mapuche, which is the largest indigenous group in Chile, and Mapuche in their indigenous language means people of the land. So their people are very connected to their surroundings and their environment, as are a lot of indigenous people.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chilean army invaded the Mapuche land in the 19th century and sold their land. So this group of people is now in the poorest region, and 1/3 of them are in poverty. So they don't have a lot of resources to fight. So Curamil organized them in a way that they worked together as a group and could have a stronger voice together. So the government privatized the water resources of the Cautín River, which means that it's not a common good under the National Water Code, and ownership went solely to the rich, which we see in a lot of other countries, that the rich are getting a lot of these resources while the poor, in this case the Mapuche, are suffering under these environmental effects. So from 2010 to 2015, they created a new energy plan, the Chilean government did, with 40 hydroelectric projects in Araucania, between the government, Swiss Hydro, and Agrisol. And they planned 2 expensive projects without consulting the Mapuche. So this is also a common trend, not talking to the people that live and prosper on this land.
Yeah, people who are going to be clearly directly affected by
exactly,
this.
Consulting them. Yeah. And Chile isn't even considered necessarily a corrupt government. So this is a good example of how this happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So Alto Cautín and Dona Alicia, which are the projects that I mentioned, would divert 500 million gallons per day for power. And this would also increase sediment in rivers, it would harm fish and wildlife, and it hurts the natural flow, and also would erode riparian ecosystems, which we've actually learned about a lot, so you guys know what that means. So Curamil acted as a spokesperson for Alancia, territorial Mapuche, and helped them save ancestral practices and native language, which is called Mapudungun. And he used this, along with Mangar Maathai, he used methods that were natural to the people that were being activists. So he used traditional gatherings to organize against projects, but he also invited other people that had more of a political voice, like academics and other activists in Chile. And another way in which they organized was street protests and marches and road blockades, which are really important, I think, because you're integrating both modern and traditional protest methods.
Yeah, reaching to a wider group of people and just really mobilizing. Yeah.
And he also started a legal campaign with pro bono lawyers, which showed the government that the government had violated the law that requires consent before development. So Curamil used a lot of he was kind of well-rounded in his methods, and I think that was really effective for him because he was just trying as much as he could to try all these types of things and try to put as much pressure on the government and these large corporations to realize that these people need to be protected.
Yeah.
Because it has been their land for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 2014, he was arrested with 2 other leaders and accused of disorderly conduct and causing public unrest for protesting. He was beaten by police who attacked his pregnant wife also.
Wait, so how successful was the legal campaign? Did that have any progress in terms of showing that the government clearly violated these people's land rights?
Yeah. So in May of 2016, the Chilean Environmental Service Agency canceled the Alto Cautín project because of public opposition.
Okay.
And then December 2016, Chile's third environmental tribunal ruled that Dona Alicia project could not continue, and the government failed to consult the Mapuche or address environmental impacts. So yeah, they were successful.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to outline real quick that, like, the other activists we talk about haven't had much like political backlash from their activism, but Curamil did. He was arrested and his wife was beaten. So I just want to emphasize that it's not always the easiest. Environmental activism is usually seen as like pretty safe, like not very radical, but in a lot of countries it is, and you can face this like arrest and like these legal consequences because of what you're doing. And I think it's important to emphasize that he has been super brave in his actions, and that because he did, like, this whole group of people is going to have their land for a longer time.
Yeah, like, he fought for so many people to have their like land rights and to have like what should have been theirs in the first place.
Exactly. So in August 2018, he was also arrested for participation in criminal activity, which in this case means stopping the projects. And then he is acquitted of all charges in December 2019. So I think this isn't always the case that these activists are released of their charges, but in this case I think it was very important that he was, because all these people were supporting him, and he had that group to be able to like be supported.
Yeah.
Especially in the legal system, because he had these academics and other activists.
Yeah.
And a lot of other countries and a lot of activists have died, and that it's important to say, like, he's out of jail and has survived this, but a lot of people haven't. So he's a little special. So.
Yeah. So I take it he's still alive?
Yes, he is.
Is he still like doing like a lot of environment? Like, do you know what he's doing right now?
There's not a lot of like current information about that, but I assume so. Yeah. Like, most of this is pretty current, like December 2019, and obviously COVID came, so I have a little difficulty with that.
Obviously,
That's about all about Alberto.
Yeah, that was a really interesting case. So thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed learning about some of our underrepresented environmental activists. Their messages and perseverance serve as a model for how we should all interact to enact change.
Bye.